Hello, my name is Ashton Cleary, and this is my Parenting Issues final assignment. So today I will be discussing parenting LGBTQ plus youth. I'm going to talk about how families can either positively or negatively influence their child's future outcomes and the importance of fostering a supportive and accepting environment. So we will go ahead and start. So here are some of the topics that we're going to cover. So first, we'll start by covering some definitions like what LGBTQ plus means, what it stands for, and then we'll move on to ACEs, how they relate to the subject and avoiding them. Afterwards, we'll discuss strength-based parenting and its impact, and then finally we will end with a review and conclusion. So in this section, we'll cover the term LGBTQ plus, what it stands for, and what exactly it means. So, lesbian, a woman or non-binary person who is attracted to women. Gay, a man or non-binary person who is attracted to men. It's also primarily used as a catch-all word for a person with same-sex attraction. B is bisexual, an individual who is attracted to two or more genders. Transgender, individuals whose gender identity differs from that which they were assigned at birth. Queer. It's a term recently taken back by the community, excuse me, which is great. It does unfortunately have a past of derogatory use, but the community has taken it back and it's great. Um, so now it's kind of used as an umbrella term that just refers to people who don't identify as cisgender or heterosexual. I is intersex. Um, Intersex individuals are people who are born with chromosomes, gonads, sex hormones, or genitals that don't necessarily match that of typical male-female anatomy. For example, someone can be born presenting female but actually have internal testes. That's an example of an intersex person. It's also very broad and diverse. Um, I did want to make a point that it is really important to remember that this is a genetic condition and that intersex people are born intersex. It's a natural occurrence and it's very distinct from a person's gender identity and sexual orientation. Like you can't identify as intersex, you are born with that genetic condition making you intersex. Stands for asexual. It's a broad term used to refer to individuals who experience little to no sexual attraction to others. Asexual people's relationships tend to focus more on emotional connection and companionship. And then, of course, there's the plus. So the plus, LGBTQ plus, it's a very broad acronym that refers to many more identities and orientations um, than I've been able to list in this slide or even discuss in this presentation alone. So the plus is just meant to represent everybody else that falls into this category, but I just can't cover, or that it would be too many letters, I guess, to be able to, you know. Um, so we'll move on. So coming out, what's the big deal? So, in today's society, unfortunately, it is considered normal for people to assume that people are either heterosexual, meaning that they're straight, or cisgender, meaning that they identify with the gender they were assigned with at birth. So, usually, unless people are told otherwise, they just assume, hence coming out. So, members of the LGBTQ plus community experience a lot of, or may experience a lot of anxiety coming out to others in fear that they may face backlash or discrimination from their loved ones. These individuals are unfortunately at a higher risk for post-traumatic stress symptoms, PTSS, and a lack of PTG, post-traumatic growth. The stress around coming out combined with the often negative reactions that they are faced with cause LGBTQ plus individuals to also have increased rates of depression, substance abuse, suicidal ideation, and more. All right, so now we are going to get into ACEs and how exactly they relate to our topic. ACE is the acronym for Adverse Childhood Experiences. These are traumatic events that occur during childhood. They can have a lasting and sometimes detrimental impact on a child throughout their life. ACEs have even been linked to health issues later in life, such as depression, heart disease, and diabetes. Cancer is even one of them. Um, Examples of ACEs uh, include various forms of abuse, neglect, instability due to parental separation, um, growing up with a parent with mental health issues, substance abuse issues, and even feeling unloved in your own household. The list goes on. There's so many different examples of ACEs. So, say a gay child came out to their parents, who responded by kicking them out of the house, refusing contact, disowning them, maybe even just getting verbally abusive, which is still bad, but lesser than getting disowned and kicked out of the house. Let's just say that person that they came out to got verbally abusive. That's an example of an ACE. Any traumatic experience that can cause a lasting effect is an ACE. Um, that occurs during childhood, of course. So PTSS, that's post-traumatic stress symptoms. So while someone may not be necessarily diagnosed with PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, they can still absolutely experience post-traumatic stress symptoms. Example of these can include re-experiencing traumatic events through flashbacks or maybe even intrusive thoughts, avoidant behaviors, disturbed sleep patterns, etc. There's a lot of different types of post-traumatic stress symptoms. And then post-traumatic growth, PTG, it is important to remember that not all coming out experiences are traumatic and not all of them are even negative. There's quite a few people who have had very positive coming out experiences with their loved ones, where they were accepted and loved and they felt cared for, and they didn't have any trauma or negative experience associated with, and that's great. Um, so some individuals have actually found that coming out increased their feelings of self-esteem, self-realization, resilience, meaning in life, and more. And that is regardless of the reaction that that person got. So even if they did have a negative coming out experience, that doesn't mean that they can't have post-traumatic growth. They can still grow and experience like self-actualization, leading in a more authentic life for them. They can still do all of that with post-traumatic growth. Um, you don't just have to have a good experience to have that growth. I do want to note here that ACEs are avoidable. There are always going to be factors that parents can't necessarily control. Um, like parents, most parents, there's always bad people out there, but most parents, all they want is to protect their children. That's amazing. That's great. But if we look at the world the way it is, it's not always possible. You can do everything that you can, and an outside influencing factor outside of the home could cause your children to have an ACE. That, as unfortunate it is true, and it's just important that we're aware of that. Um, but just fostering a safe, accepting, and stable environment for children is a great way to avoid ACEs. Um, and yeah, so that is what ACEs are. And I did want to include an excerpt from one of my sources that I thought represented my topic really well. So it says that sexual minority individuals have double the lifetime prevalence of PTSD than that of their heterosexual counterparts. When I first read that, I had to let it sit with me because it's it's a huge statistic. I mean, that's insane. That sexual minorities have double the chance of having PTSD than just straight people do. And so I thought it'd be good to include that here. All right, so what is SBT? What is its impact, and does it have a benefit? So, SBT, or strength-based parenting, is an approach that parents use in which they actively seek to identify and cultivate positive states, processes, and qualities in their children. SBT has both buffering and building factors. The buffering factor decreases the occurrence of anxiety, depression, psychological stress, and more. The building factor increases life satisfaction, self-efficacy, well-being, and more. SBT plays a direct role in reducing the occurrence of post-traumatic stress and well, post-traumatic stress symptoms, excuse me, and increasing post-traumatic growth. So decreases post-traumatic stress symptoms, increases post-traumatic growth. So just to put it shortly, strength-based parenting is an exceptional technique to use, or just parenting style. It's great. It's a great form to use if you're a parent. Strength-based parenting, it's wonderful. All right, so we will now go back and we're going to review what we discussed. Okay, so LGBTQ plus stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer, and much, much more. The coming out experience of these individuals can be a huge experience in their life. Parenting style, as well as a parent's reaction to their child's coming out, is a large determinant of that child's physical and mental health outcomes, influencing factors such as ACEs. Strength-based parenting is an approach that focuses on the identification and cultivation of positive qualities in children. It directly lowers negative experience and increases positive ones. And I do want to note here that uh, I just want to take a moment to point out that this is a huge and incredibly diverse topic. Individual research really is the best way to understand it. I'm only able to barely scratch the surface with this presentation, and I really hope that I've done it some justice. But absolutely, individual research is the best way for just to understand it. All right, so here are my resources. I've got 5 of them in alphabetical order, links included. They're really great reads if you want to read them yourself. Really good points. Um, all right, and that is all that I have for my presentation. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for learning with me. I really enjoyed this time, and thank you again.